The Roundup Part 2 by John Murray. Chapter 18. Jack. When Polly told the boys in the corral that Slim had returned and was waiting for them at the mess wagon, they dropped their work and made for him with wild whoops and yells. Slim smiled as he heard the coming. Show Low made a running jump, throwing his arms about the sheriff's neck. And Sage Brush each grabbed a hand, pumping up and down emphatically. The others slapped him on the back. All talked at once, asking him the news and whether Jack had returned. "Did you nip it up with the Pages?" asked Parentheses. "Talk, durn ye talk," shouted Sholo, "or we'll hang out your hide." Slim shook the hands of his comrades in turn affectionately. For each he had his own particular form of greeting. "No, boys," he said, when the group became more orderly. "I ain't a-goin' to say a word till I see Mrs. Payson first." Polly had ridden at once to the house to tell the joyful news of Slim's return to Echo, who hurried at once to the boys about the wagon. Parentheses spied her riding down the trail. "She's comin' now," he cried. "Boys," requested Slim, "would you mind herding off yonder a bit?" The cowpuncher strolled over to the cottonwood, leaving Echo to meet Slim alone. "Where is he?" was Echo's tearful greeting. "Well, ma'am, there's a man out yonder that's been through fire and brimstone for you." Echo stared over the prairies. Then Jack was still searching for Dick. Slim had failed to find him. "Out yonder," she moaned, wringing her hands. "Wait a minute," says Slim. "He says to me, says he, break it to her, Slim. Tell her gentle Ann if she wants me call, and I'll come." "Ma'am, Dick Lane is dead." Echo shuddered. "Dead," she repeated. "By his—" "No," interrupted Slim. "Not that way. Indians. Jack found Dick, and the Indians found 'em both. When I come up with the soldiers from Fort Grant, they was having the derndest mix-up with Indians you ever did see. Both men were bad-hurted, and Dick well, ma'am. I leaned over him just in time to hear him say, 'Tell her I know she was true and not to mind.' Then he gave a little catch of his breath and dropped back into my arms." Echo sighed. The tragedy of the desert was very real to her. In the many months that the two men had been away, she had lived through it with them in poignant imagination. "Great-hearted Dick," she said. "I was not worthy of his love. And Jack, where is he? Wait a minute, he wants to know if you can forgive him if you will take him back." "Slim," was the only word Echo uttered, but the volume of love it contained told him everything. "You needn't say nothin' more. I see it shinin' in your eyes," cried Slim. "Jack! Jack!" he shouted. "You derned idiot, come a-runnin'." Payson hurried up from the arroyo within which he had been waiting. "Echo, I have not altogether failed in my mission. I have not brought Dick Lane." "Back, but I hope I come from him bearing something of his loyalty and simple faith. If you ever can learn to trust me again, if you ever can learn to love me," he said to Echo humbly. "Don't be a derned fool, Jack," blurted Slim. "Can't you see she ain't never loved no one else?" "Echo, is it so?" asked Jack eagerly. Slim grinned. Going over to Echo's side, he gave her a slight push, saying, "Go tell him." "Jack!" was her only cry as her husband enfolded her in his arms. With the next election for sheriff in Pinal County, William Henry Harrison Hoover had no opposition, for Buck McKee's nomination for that office of one Peruna, formerly of the Lazy K outfit, was not ratified for several reasons. The chief of which was that W.H.H. Hoover, alias Slim, had, just previous to election, officially declared that the said Peruna was deceased, having come to his death in the jail yard of Pinal County by a sudden drop at the end of a new hempen rope, which did not break, as Slim, before the ceremony, had assured the apprehensive Peruna it would not. The sudden and successive removals of its two most honored and influential members, Buck McKee and Peruna, greatly demoralized the Lazy K outfit, and the demoralization was completed by the pernicious activity of the re-elected sheriff in interfering with the main purpose of that industrial organization, which was the merger of the Sweetwater cattle business through a gradual amalgamation of all brands into the Lazy K. One by one, the captains or cavaliers of this industry sought more congenial regions where public inquisition into such purely private concerns as theirs was not so vigorously prosecuted. It must not be thought that the social graces and persuasive abilities of Sheriff Hoover were confined to the conduct of legalized necktie parties and the dispersion of outlaws. In its extended account of the Lane Hope nuptials, the Florence Kicker devoted much of the space to the part taken by the best man in the ceremony, our genial and expansive Boniface of the New County Apartment Hotel. And soon after it recorded that the same Sheriff Hoover had induced the charming Miss Wiggins, sister of our deputy sheriff, to be his partner for life, as she had been for the dance at the Lane Hope nuptials, described in our issue of June 15, and that the happy couple received their friends, which we are instructed our readers is an invite to the entire county at their future home, the new county jail, on the 4th of July. And in a local paragraph of the issue containing the latter notice, the editor of the Kicker remarks, "Remember the sheriff's roundup on the 4th, as our friend from the Sweetwater with the all-round understanding says, right curly brace symbol, i.e. brace up, Slim. All the boys will be there too, right pointing finger shove. You will sure see. Updater's note, stars. End of Project Gutenberg's The Roundup, by John Murray and Marion Mills Miller." The end. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed the journey, the characters, and the world they carried with them. If you enjoyed this audiobook, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. Your support helps keep these stories alive and allows more timeless books to be shared with listeners around the world. Until next time, thank you for listening.